amazing. Jimin's was perfect. That was like right on, exactly like that sounded exactly like the recording. That was amazing.
Run, run, lost boy, they say to me.
I really like Jungkook's whispered type of chest voice that he's using there. You know, if you notice, he's not singing that full voice. He's allowing his voice to kind of fall into this type of like whispered approach right here. That's kind of how he's approaching it, not with the full kind of where he would normally talk type of approach. So now he moves up into a mix that's much more connected, much more compressed. So there's a lot more chord closure, and you can hear that in the difference between this line. Right? You can hear how he's kind of like crying into that line, and that's where he's finding a lot more compression and chord closure. And there RM is using a lot of a connected sound. So he's very much the way he would talk, probably if he was having a conversation with you. He's rapping in a very close placement to where he would normally talk. Now Jin, right here, I'm going to back it up a little bit because we kind of jumped a little bit into Jin's part. But Jin is now singing into his mix, which is much more compressed and there's more chord closure. So it's not breathy. It's got a lot of that kind of cry behind the sound. I like the contrast that they do between Jin and V, because V approaches it with much more of a breathy style, but then Jin's using much more of a compressed, more of a call register type of approach. That's the first time that I've ever heard V and Jin kind of trade off line by line like that. I really like that approach of kind of throwing it back between the two of them, kind of ping-ponging between those two types of very different vocals. And there we've got Jimin's quintessential beautiful falsetto coming in. Yeah, and also Jungkook's also in a falsetto type of approach. So not using much connection, just allowing kind of the vocal cords to open up a little bit more, allow more airflow to come through, which is a very cool vocal effect. And I really like how they're changing up so many of the different vocal effects. And, you know, it's only been 1:33 into the song, and they're changing so much between different vocal effects. I really like the kind of like telephone effect that they put on Jungkook's vocal. There, I'm taking over you part. What they're doing is basically cutting out all of the bottom end, so all of the bass in his voice, and a lot of the high end. So it's just left with the mid-range, which really kind of, it is quintessential of old telephones. And so that's why it's got that very telephony feel. So there V was in his very, very robust, low-end, breathy chest voice. I think his voice really shines in that chest voice range. You know, I would love to hear him sing more lower songs. Like his voice just really shines in that low range because he has so much, a beautiful warmth to his voice. I really love that syncopated rhythm of that rap, really kind of pulling against the beat. Sounded really good. And I like here how they're ping-ponging between Jungkook and Jimin. I would really want to hear kind of Jimin and V's voice put up against each other. I think they're the most disparate voice types in the group. So it would be very cool to kind of hear those bounce between the two. But Jungkook and Jimin kind of have a similar sort of vibe to their voices. It's interesting how it's very hard to tell their voices apart when they're in falsetto, because falsetto kind of gets the voice to lose a lot of its original quality. So when we're speaking or singing in our chest voice or using some chest sort of mix in the song, a lot more of the quality of the voice, like whether it's dark, whether it's warm, bright, those types of things start to pop out a little bit more. Whereas falsetto just kind of like, because there's not so much of the vocal cord creating so much resonance, it's kind of hard to tell different voices apart when you're not hearing that kind of bass quality to the voice. Wow. That's really high to be taking his falsetto up there. That's really, really good. I wonder how he's going to be able to do that live, because it's not easy to take your falsetto so high. Generally, your voice kind of wants to flip, or at least this has been my experience with my voice. My voice kind of wants to move more towards head voice up there. It's hard to pull that airy sound so high. I like that, how in the first chorus it was more of subdued, I'm taking over you. Now he's the octave up. May not have been an octave, it might be a little less than an octave, but he's definitely jumped up in energy and pitch. Okay, so he started just a little bit sharp. The first line ended up a little bit sharp coming into it, and then now he's starting to lower it down so that he's matching the pitch much better. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the voice and digging in deeper and working through a 30-day course, check out this link right above. We've got a course that teaches you how to improve your voice over the next 30 days and get it to a place where you feel confident with your voice. So definitely check that out. So that's interesting. In the recorded version, Jungkook uses much more of a compressed sound to get up to that higher part, whereas here he's using much less of a compressed sound to be able to get up there. So if you listen again. So he's using much more airflow there. I really like how V and Jin's voice are sounding right here. Jin is sounding much more on point than Jungkook here. Jin's voice has a very nice bright and cutting quality to it, while still remaining warm. See, like no strain on that. Amazing. Jimin's was perfect. That was like right on, exactly like that sounded exactly like the recording. That was amazing. Now there was a platform that I was recently introduced to called Skillshare. That is a course marketplace where people put out their courses on all different types of topics. I recently put up a course on Skillshare that you guys can go check out. It's called Stop Being Tone Deaf. There's also tons of other courses up there that will help you get a better home studio. Young Guru, who has produced for Jay-Z and other hip-hop artists, has a number of courses up there that teach you all about audio engineering and setting up your home studio as well. Now the great thing about Skillshare is that you don't have to pay per course. You pay a monthly fee and you have access to every single course on their platform. And as the platform becomes more popular, there's more and more courses being put out all the time. So if this sounds interesting to you, click the link down below. It gives you 2 months free subscription to Skillshare, where you can access all their premium content for free. Jungkook also on that part. Amazing. Oh wow, I didn't even realize that they would be actually singing that part. It sounded like that was very much electronic, but here they're actually, I think it's Jimin that's singing it, or it could be all of them that's singing it all together. That kind of vocal effect, they're actually singing that here live, and I thought that that would be kind of reproduced by the live track. I mean, by a pre-recorded track. So that I'm taken right there on those notes, he was very, very connected and pointed with the sound. Yeah, kind of went a little bit more splatty and could have been focused a little bit more the same way the first three notes were. Yeah, first three notes are. So just something to kind of realize that when you're singing up high, a lot of people don't realize this, but we're actually using a lot less air and we want things to be much more focused. So when we're low down in our range, it's okay for things to be a little bit more open and feel a little bit more like not as focused. A great example is like a garden hose. So if you have a garden hose that just is spilling out water, that garden hose may not at first have a lot of pressure built up behind it, so you're just going to get a stream that kind of flows out at a very low rate. But if you stick your thumb on top of that garden hose, I'm sure many of you have done this, you get the spray from the garden hose. That's kind of like singing high notes. So letting the garden hose kind of just flow is like singing a low note. It just kind of, the way we talk, it's kind of like just allowing that kind of airflow to go through. Whereas when we're moving up into our higher range, we want to think of kind of focusing that a lot more, making it much more pointed. That's really what made the difference between Jungkook's high notes and then that last note that kind of fell a little bit flat. That takes a lot of vocal agility to do that kind of line right there. I love how the crowd goes crazy when V steps off from the mic stand and goes and walks out to the middle of the stage. It's definitely got a lot of confidence. It's just got swagger. Suga is buried in this mix. Like, I cannot hear him at all. Like, I'm hearing everybody else's voices but his. Like, just a little bit, they gotta bring that voice up. The J-Hope I can hear no problem. Okay, so Jimin's struggling a little bit to hit those notes. I think he's kind of getting stuck between whether to go to falsetto or a mix. And because he's not really deciding one or the other, it's ending up kind of like in between the two. Okay, so there it got better. Jungkook sounds really good there. It's almost like Jungkook and Jimin flipped sides from the first half of the song. I love the interaction between Jimin and V here. They really know how to work the crowd. And now we get the choreography in, so they're able to like kind of bring their vocal performance and put that on the forefront and then now throw in a little bit of their choreography. So if you like this video, please check out this one. You're gonna love it too.